This. This right here is the list that has the entire basketball world on fire. A major sports outlet, Bleacher Report, just dropped its new ranking of the top 100 players ever. And they put Kobe Bryant at number 11. It's an absolute insult. And I'm not just talking about the disrespect to the man's legacy. This ranking shows a fundamental misunderstanding of what made the Black Mamba a true icon. So we're not just going to disagree with the list. No. We're going to dismantle the flawed logic behind it and show you exactly why Kobe Bryant is and always will be a top 10 player of all time, and in some people's minds, even the GOAT. And look, it's not just me saying it, okay? The second this list went public, the backlash was instant and it was fierce. Fans, analysts, even legends of the game knew something was deeply wrong. Kobe's own teammate, the man who won 3 rings with him, Shaquille O'Neal, took one look at it and posted a tweet saying, "Kobe at 11 is criminal." When the guy they ranked at number 6 tells you your list is a joke, you should probably listen. Fans were just as blown away. You saw comments everywhere like whoever made this list is a hater. Kobe's top 5. And way to show the hate, Lakers never win their championships without him. This isn't just about salty fans. This is about a complete failure to recognize what defined greatness for 2 straight decades. The outrage is justified because the logic is broken. They took one of the most influential players to ever touch a basketball and left him outside the pantheon. So let's get into this and expose how flawed this thinking really is. The case against Kobe has always followed a few predictable and honestly lazy arguments. As time goes on, people have used certain advanced stats to try and chip away at his legacy. Critics love to point out to, his field goal percentage and call him inefficient. They'll say he was a volume scorer who took bad shots. They'll whisper that Shaq carried him to his first 3 rings, and they love to bring up that he only won 1 regular season MVP. Now let's tear these arguments apart, okay? First, the efficiency excuse. This is the favorite weapon of spreadsheet analysts who clearly didn't watch the games. Did Kobe take tough shots? Absolutely, because he had to. For huge chunks of his career, especially in the years between Shaq and Pau Gasol, he was surrounded by rosters that needed him to create something out of absolutely nothing. Entire defenses were designed to stop him, and he still averaged over 35 points a game in a season, a feat only a handful of players have ever managed. That 81-point game wasn't just a hot streak. It was an act of pure will on a team that needed every single one of those points. Judging Kobe's career on field goal percentage is like judging a masterpiece by how much paint the artist has left over. It completely misses the point. Next, the idea that he was carried by Shaq. Now, this argument just conveniently ignores history. Yes, they were one of the most dominant duos ever, winning 3 straight titles. But it wasn't a one-way street, and more importantly, what happened after Shaq left? All the critics said Kobe could never win as the number 1 guy. So what did he do? He rebuilt, he suffered through the lean years, and then he led the Lakers to 2 more championships in 09 and 10. This time as the undisputed leader, winning Finals MVP both times. He didn't just answer the critics, he silenced them. And finally, the single MVP award. This might be the most intellectually dishonest argument of them all. For years, Kobe was the best player in the world. He was a top 5 MVP vote getter year after year. But the award often went to guys with better media narratives or on teams that had surprisingly good records. Holding the subjective votes of journalists against his objective on-court dominance is absurd. His 15 All-NBA selections, 11 of them first team, tell the story of his sustained excellence. That's tied for the second most all-time and proves he was considered one of the two best guards in the league for over a decade. Now that we've dealt with the weak arguments against him, let's build the undeniable case for why Kobe isn't just a top 10 player, but why he belongs probably in the top 5 conversation. This is the single most disrespected part of Kobe's game, and it's what separates him from so many other legendary scorers. Kobe wasn't just an offensive machine, he was a lockdown defender. He made the NBA All-Defensive Team 12 times in his career. 9 of those were first team selections. To put that in perspective, Michael Jordan also had 9. The player that ranked one spot ahead of him on this list was Steph Curry. And you know something? He has 0 all-defensive selections. It's not even in the same ballpark. Kobe didn't just pad his stats against scrubs either. In the biggest moments, on the biggest stage, he guarded the other team's best player. He had the stamina to drop 40 on one end and then clamp down on the other. That two-way greatness is the mark of a true all-timer, and it's a box that very few players in history can check. To ignore it is to ignore half of what made him great. Now let's talk about getting buckets. Kobe Bryant was one of the most skilled, versatile, and clutch scorers the game will ever see. He hung it up with 33,643 points, 4th in NBA history. He could beat you any way he wanted. A post-up into that fadeaway jumper that was basically a layup for him, a lightning-quick first step to the rim, a deadly mid-range game that's now a lost art, and of course limitless range from 3. We already mentioned the 81-point game, the second highest scoring performance in NBA history. But he also had 26 career 50-point games, and 6 of those were 60-point games. When the game was on the line, everyone in the building, fans, coaches, and the other team knew who was taking the last shot. He lived for those moments and delivered again and again. He was a weapon with no answer. 5 NBA championships, just let that sink in. He won a three-peat as the young explosive superstar next to Shaq. Then, after proving he could win with a dominant big, he proved he could win without a dominant big. The back-to-back titles in 09 and 10 were his masterpieces. As the clear-cut leader, he hoisted the Finals MVP trophy twice. Those rings weren't just wins, they were vindication. He cemented his legacy as a winner on his own terms, able to lead a team to the promised land through pure force of will. He showed an adaptability few champions ever have, winning in different eras with different teams, all with one constant, his relentless drive. Now, before we get to the final verdict, I have to ask you guys, the list that kicked this all off put Steph Curry at number 10, one spot ahead of Kobe. Now, nobody can deny Curry is an all-time great who revolutionized the game. But when you really stack up the resumes, 5 rings to 4, 12 all-defensive teams to 0, the two-way dominance, is there any logical case for ranking Curry ahead of Kobe right now? 0. Now, let me know what you think about that specific matchup in the comments. It's a huge part of this whole debate. Now, this is the part of the conversation you can't measure with a stat sheet, and it's why Kobe's legacy will last forever. The Mamba mentality. It's become a global slogan for a reason, and it started with him. His insane work ethic is the stuff of legend. The stories of 4 a.m. workouts, of mastering every tiny detail, of studying opponents until he knew their every move. They aren't just myths, they define them. I mean, the guy studied sharks to be able to stop Allen Iverson. I can even try to understand why. He looked for every single thing he could get to get a step ahead of you. And that mentality wasn't just for him, it was contagious. He demanded greatness from his teammates and inspired an entire generation of players that followed. You hear it from superstars all over the league today. They grew up watching to be like Kobe. They copied his work ethic, his approach, his hunger. Now, Bleacher Report even admitted this in their own article, writing, "There's a case to be made that Kobe is actually the most influential to ever set foot on an NBA's hardwood." Now tell me, how can you write the sentence like that and then rank him outside the top 10? It makes completely zero sense. His impact goes way beyond his own career. It's written into the DNA of the modern NBA. So let's put it all together. We're talking about a player with 5 championships, 2 finals MVPs, a regular season MVP, 18 All-Star selections, 15 All-NBA selections, and 12 All-Defensive NBA selections. A player who's 4th all-time in scoring, a player whose influence and work ethic shaped an entire generation of basketball. Guys, placing Kobe Bryant at number 11 isn't a hot take, it's a factual error. It comes from relying too much on flawed stats while ignoring the context of his career, his defensive impact, and his unmeasurable will to win. You simply cannot name 10 players with a more complete, more decorated, and more impactful resume. The list had him behind players he has clear case against. Putting him outside the top 10, as Shaq said, is criminal. Kobe Bryant isn't on the outside looking in. He's in the room, guys. He's a lock for the top 10 and serious contender for the top 5, in my opinion. Right there at the table with Jordan, LeBron, Kareem. Sure, lists are made to be debated, but some things should be set in stone. Kobe Bryant's place among the 10 greatest basketball players to ever live is one of them. This ranking wasn't just a snub, it was an insult to everything he stood for. The endless work, the championship pedigree, the defensive tenacity, and the killer instinct that defined the Mamba. He wasn't just a star, he was a standard. And that standard is, and always will be, definitely inside the top 10. So I'll leave you with this. Where do you rank Kobe all time? Drop your top 10 in the comments below. And if you think the Mamba was disrespected, hit that like button and subscribe because we definitely have to set the record straight. Now let me ask you one more question before I end. When you ask anybody, any logical thinking fan, any coach, anyone, do you think there would be anybody that would start their NBA team or choose a player for their NBA team if they wanted to start an NBA team with any player that they could get? Would they choose Kobe Bryant first? Or would they choose Steph Curry first? What do you think? I mean, some people actually debate and claim that Kobe Bryant might actually be the NBA GOAT. I don't think that, but people do. Who the hell thinks Steph Curry is an NBA GOAT? That should be answer to that question by itself. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care.